Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Thursday, the 5th of May, 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon we bring you the 5 news items that happened today that you need to know about. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 finished the day up 0.8% to 7,365 points. It was pretty strong across the board, with technology stocks, which tend to underperform when interest rates are rising, being among the best on the day. The market did have a very strong lead-in from Wall Street, more of that in a moment. The banks were mixed while the miners were strong, including Fortescue Mining, which jumped 3.5%, recovering from yesterday's fall. Gold and Newcrest Mining rose 2.7%, reflecting the higher price of the precious metal. QBE Insurance jumped 5.5% after it said its bottom line will be hit by about $100 million due to the impact of the Russia-Ukraine war. But it wasn't as much as some had expected. Story number 2. The US Federal Reserve this morning lifted interest rates in the world's biggest economy by 50 basis points, but made it clear that it didn't think larger increments were needed in the future. Investors took that to mean that interest rates might not rise in the US as much as feared, or certainly not as quickly. So it was considered good news, and that sent equity markets soaring. The broad-based S&P 500 and the tech-heavy Nasdaq both jumped more than 3% today. Yields on bonds fell, reflecting reduced expectations of rate hikes. It had an immediate impact on global currencies. The Aussie dollar jumped to almost 72.5 US cents. That's one of its biggest moves in about a decade. Mind you, it still remains well below its 76.6 US cents, which it hit a month ago. Story number 3, National Australia Bank delivered a jump in cash profit to $3.5 billion today and upped its dividend, which is good news for shareholders. It was a pretty decent result, a record in fact for the 6 months to the end of March, although the group's share price fell back today. The 4% increase in profit compared to a 3% drop from ANZ, which it announced yesterday. The result was about what the market expected. Story number 4. The AGL energy boss Graham Hunt has accused major shareholder and suitor Mike Cannon-Brookes of making false claims about the energy giant's demerger plan. Mr. Cannon-Brookes has an 11.3% stake in AGL and has started lobbying big investors to vote against the demerger in the middle of next month. According to The Australian, Mr. Cannon-Brookes claimed AGL had not invested in renewable energy, major banks were unlikely to provide financing, and AGL was out of step with its peers in dealing with climate change. Mr. Hunt returned fire, saying shareholders should focus on the facts, which include AGL's renewable and battery portfolio of 2,350 megawatts, supplying some of the lowest cost generation in the power grid, and already announcing new coal closure dates for its big coal-fired power stations. The AGL boss had some bad news for consumers, saying surging wholesale electricity prices across New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland will, inevitably, flow through to higher household electricity bills. And finally, story number 5. German car maker Volkswagen has sold out of new electric vehicles until 2023. Demand for EVs in the US and Europe is huge, helped by government mandates to boost the number of vehicles on the road over the next decade. Volkswagen said it had a backlog of 300,000 orders in Western Europe alone. The group, which also owns Porsche, Skoda and the Audi brands, sold 99,000 EVs last year, which is about 1/3 of what Tesla sold. That's it for the afternoon report for Thursday, the 5th of May, 2022. Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning for the Friday edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.